On New Year's Eve, snow covered the dark street. The little match girl walked anxiously through the cold, hoping someone would stop and buy her matches. She had sold nothing and had no money. She feared going home to her father because she knew he would be angry with her that night. She has no hat or shoes, but she keeps moving through the snow while warm homes shine beyond the windows. This was the coldest night she could remember. She had started out wearing her mother's large shoes, although they were much too big for her small feet. Before we go on, here are a few useful words to listen for. Some you already know from an earlier episode: anxiously and mislead. Two horses ran past very fast, and she jumped away. One shoe was lost. A boy took the other and laughed. This can be a baby's bed one day. Her small legs were red and blue from cold. In an old apron, she carried several matchboxes, but nobody had bought one or given her even one coin all day. Hungry, tired, and afraid, she watched people pass in thick fur coats, hurrying toward comfortable homes without stopping for her. She touched her thin apron, aware of the hard cold against her body. Their fur looked warmer than anything she owned, and nobody turned back. Bright windows showed happy rooms and rich dinners. The kind lights could mislead her, but she still watched and smelled a roast bird with apples inside. At last, she found a corner between two houses. She sat down in the small sheltered space and pulled her knees close to her chest. Going home felt even worse than staying outside. Her father might hit her because she had no money, and their roof had holes where cold air entered. She was aware that home offered little safety. Her hands became hard and almost still, yet one hopeful thought came to her in the darkness.
One match may warm me.
She struck it against the wall. A small fire sprang up and gave a warm yellow light. She watched anxiously, holding both hands near the tiny flame. Suddenly, a great black stove stood before her. Its strong fire shone in the snowy darkness, and she stared at it as if it were real. The stove's fire was brighter than the streetlights outside, and its lovely warmth seemed to spread through the whole frozen corner. She reached her legs toward the heat, but the match soon ended. The stove disappeared, and only a black, burned match stayed in her hand. She struck another match, and the wall became clear like thin glass. Behind it stood a table with a white cover, bright plates, and a roast bird. The bird was full of apples and sweet fruit. It walked toward her, strangely carrying a knife and fork, until darkness returned with the wet wall. That wonderful sight had misled her again. Still, she held the matches close and hoped that perhaps the next light would bring her something better. The girl stayed in the sheltered corner, holding her last matches while the cold New Year's Eve darkness pressed around her. She looked down at the small bundle in her hands. Then she chose another match, hoping its brief flame would bring back warmth and comfort. She struck a third match, and at once an enormous Christmas tree appeared before her in the freezing, shadowy corner. It was larger than the tree inside a rich shop owner's home, and it was the most beautiful tree she had ever seen. Small lights covered its green branches. Bright pictures seemed to smile down at her from the branches. She reached out toward them, but the third match ended before her hand touched anything. The tree disappeared, and its many lights rose into the dark sky. They became stars, and one star fell in a bright line across the darkness. The girl remembered grandmother saying that a falling star meant someone was going up. Grandmother had died, and she was the only person who had ever loved the child. The girl quickly struck another match. Grandmother stood in its light, gentle and clear. Her soft gray dress had a warm brown fur edge. The girl was aware that this match would soon end. She feared its light might mislead her again, and she called anxiously to grandmother for help.
Grandmother, please take me with you. You leave when the match ends. The stove, dinner, and tree all left me.
Grandmother opened her arms. The girl lit every match she had left, keeping grandmother there. The light grew brighter than the sun at noon, while grandmother looked taller, younger, and kinder than before. She gave the sweetest smile and lifted the child into her arms. Together they rose through the bright yellow light, higher than the houses and even the stars. No cold, hunger, or fear surrounded them there. Held safely in grandmother's arms, the girl felt loved at last as they traveled together through the shining sky. Morning came on New Year's Day. After the long night, the street was quiet. People found the girl beside the wall, with pink cheeks and a quiet smile. The used matches lay beside her.
She tried to get warm.
The people knew she had died in the terrible cold. Yet nobody knew about her wonderful night. Nobody there had seen the stove, the dinner, or the Christmas tree that had shone before her earlier. Nobody saw grandmother carry her into joy. The matchlights showed more than dreams. They showed the child the love she needed most. At last, she reached a warmer home. Here are some of the words you met in this story. Say each one to yourself.